All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Beth Hansman.
Steven, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Out there.
Oh, a lot of familiar faces. Hey, Noel. Hey, Matt.
Hey.
And Matt. We got two Hansmans and two Matts. Awesome.
What?
All right. If folks who are not Eric Barbic, who is about to talk now, if you're not Eric, if you could go on mute, that would be awesome so that we don't have too much background noise. I think we can get started.
Okay. Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. I'm going to share some forms that we're going to use for both majors and AAA. And then so the people are in a AA, you'll start getting an idea of what it is. So for next year, make it easier for you. But I'm going to screen share right now. Let's see. This is a minimum play requirement tracker that we're going to use. It was created a couple years ago. We've kind of updated a little bit this year for our four majors teams, 11 players. And really, this is a way for us to track to make sure everybody's getting their playing time in, which is real important. As you look here, you'll list the 7 full-time players who play the whole game, and then you'll have your 2 players that are going to get subbed in and out for. And so you put there, you're going to X out which innings that they play, and then you circle the inning where they get their at bat. And so in majors, it's a requirement to play 6 defensive outs and get 1 at bat per game. So if there's players who are absent or sick at the bottom, click that or you circle it, put in what it is. And after the game, whoever records this will be responsibility of the home team. They will record this, have both managers sign it, put who won the game. And then we're going to take a picture of it with your phone and then email it to your division coordinator, which are down at the bottom. So either the AAA or the majors coordinator, we just want to create a record for all this as we go forward throughout the season. So if there's any questions, it can be easily answered, and it's easy for the division coordinator to go and pull it and look at it. Alternatively, the other sheet that we'll use this year is the pitch eligibility tracking form. And so all these forms will be in binders in the score sheds in both fields. So here we go. You put the date of the game, the number of pitches thrown, the pitcher's name, their number, their league age. And then both managers will sign, the scorekeeper will sign, and we have the charts. We'll also have the charts in the binder that say when they're eligible to pitch again, based on how many pitches they throw. So same thing after a game, when you take a picture and email the division coordinator, take a picture of this as well. And as Steve and Emily will go through, as we do our scoring, it'll give you all the information you need to fill this in through Game Changer or even the score. Anybody have any questions on either of these forms? As we found in these big groups, it's easy to also throw questions into the chat, and I can answer through there. But if
Eric, there was somebody had their hand raised, Lee, and I guess, yeah, do we want to, if people want to throughout, make sure that, yeah, if you have questions, put it in the chat and I can monitor those and alert us if there's any questions.
And now I will turn this over to Steve and Emily, who prepared quite a little tutorial for everybody here. And again, we appreciate everybody being here to do this. This is a change that we're doing this year, going to Game Changer. Just something we're trying to make things a little bit easier on everybody. And as Steve goes through this, Game Changer is pretty intuitive. So Steve, take it away.
Eric, it looks like there's one question in the chat. Will we complete these at the game or after the game?
They will be done at the game, but afterwards, so that both managers can sign. So a lot of our teams are playing like Saturday and Monday, so we want to get them done relatively court order so that we have, if there's any questions on pitch count or anything, we can address it then.
Yeah, if you're keeping score or keeping the pitch count, don't let the managers leave until they've signed this form.
And all the managers should know that. But that doesn't mean that they won't.
We're going to remind them. We're going to remind them again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And Eric, maybe you can answer this too. We're going to talk about which teams are scoring on Game Changer and which teams are scoring on paper, but which team is responsible for filling these forms out?
So we'll make the minimum play eligibility, which is only majors. So only majors is doing the MPR sheet. That'll be done by the home team, and then pitch count will be done by the visiting team. So pitch count will be done by the visiting team also in AAA. Okay. Steve, I will stop sharing and let you take it away.
All right. All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So my name is Steve Gray. I am a player agent for the league this year, which means I've been in charge of putting all the teams together. And we decided that we would give Game Changer a shot this year in terms of keeping score for our games. It will allow us to upload scores to the website and allow your teams to see statistics and statistics on your team, statistics on the teams that you're playing against and how they've done against you and those kinds of things. So I think it'll be really fun, useful for the teams from a planning purpose, and fun for the kids to see their stats and things like that. Though, of course, that's not the reason we're playing, right? It's for our stats. We're here to have fun and play games and be here for the team, but it is still kind of fun to have it in there. It also allows, when you're keeping score on Game Changer, that somebody who's not at the field and also maybe can't be on their computer to see the live stream of the video, or maybe the game is not at one of the fields where there is a live stream, while you're keeping score on Game Changer, somebody else who's anywhere else and has the Game Changer app and is a part of your team can watch the scorekeeping in live. So as you put in each individual play, they'll be able to see that happen on their Game Changer app. So I know my parents who live in Massachusetts have found that super useful to know what's going on. Also, sometimes the people who are at the game find it useful to follow along with the Game Changer app to know exactly what the count is and who's up next and those kinds of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through an actual baseball game. So hopefully you can see my screen here. Emily or Joy, if you can nod and let me know if you can see the screen. So I've got a Giants Cubs game from September 2021. And this screen here is my phone, which has the Game Changer app on it. So we're going to score 2 innings of this game together so you can see what that looks like. And I'll just keep the lines open. And as you have questions, we'll answer questions and talk about what's going on. And you should get a pretty good sense of how to keep score on the Game Changer app as we go. And then when I finish that, I'll hand it over to Emily, and she will do a little tutorial on keeping score in an actual baseball scorebook and what that looks like. And if you haven't done that before, you'll want to stick around for that because Emily brings her book to Giants games when she goes to games. Sorry. Just throwing that out there. In order to keep score in Game Changer, you have to be listed as a staff member for the team. So you have to, and in order for that to happen, you have to have signed up in the Sports Connect website as a volunteer. And then I or Hannah, our VP of admin, can go in and add you as a staff member. So if there's anybody here who's not done that and doesn't know how to do that, you can just throw a little thing in the chat and we can walk you through that. Maybe Joy can walk you through how to do that while I'm going through this. But you will. So if I go into like the Red Sox and I go to team, you'll see that I've got these people set up as staff members, these 7 people. So only these 7 people can keep score for my Red Sox games.
And actually your manager, anybody that's a staff on Game Changer should be able to change your role on Game Changer. I don't think we need to do it on Sports Connect. Once you're once your staff is on Game Changer, those staff can make other people staff.
Okay. So any questions before I roll?
Question here from Lee, can we add more staff? They only allow 4. And the answer to that is yes. They're actually, Steve, you wanna?
Yeah, so if you look at this one, I've got 7 out of 4 staff roles filled, right? So it says up to 4, but I've got 7 and it's okay. If that, and Joy, maybe that's where you have to add them via Sports Connect. Maybe the app doesn't let you add a 5th. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
Because I tried adding a bunch of people as scorekeepers, and you just go into their once you're a staff member, your manager or your team parent or whoever is a staff on Game Changer, you can go to the family role and you can add their role. It'll say your role, your default role is going to be as a family member, but then as like if you go down and scroll to a person who's go to maybe edit. Oh no, this is a player. Sorry, it's not for players, but for family members. You can change the role and add them to your staff. So like,
Okay.
So I'll jump in real quick because I also tested this out.
Oh, what I just
If you have less than 4 currently, you can add somebody directly through the app as another staff. Like I'm staff, so I could add another staff without them having to sign up. But the limit at that point, once it hits 4, they have to go through the process. So
Okay.
you can't do it from here. I don't.
So Lee or anybody else, if you're having trouble adding a 5th or 6th staff member, feel free to shoot me an email. Joy, can you paste my email address into the chat for me? The player agent email address. People can email me there and I can walk them through the process. I've got screenshots for how to do it on Sports Connect. Pretty quick. Okay. Let me know if there's other questions because the chat. Oh, here it is. Somebody's printing to my printer. That's helpful. Okay. So I created a new team for the purposes of tonight. I created a San Francisco Giants 2021 Game Changer test team, and I created a game for tonight. And so when your team has a game that's coming up tonight, you'll get a notification on your phone that says time to score the game. And so this little thing will pop up. And so we're going to go to score game. And it will bring you here. There was a button on there that said set starting lineup. And so I could have done that from the outset, but I'll actually just show you how to do that here. So my team is the Giants. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to add the players from the bench, because when you're going into your team, all your players are going to be in Game Changer. And so you could see some of these Giants that are playing that day. I've already put them in here. Can you hear the audio?
No.
No. So here's the starting lineup on the screen here for the Giants. So what I would do is I would get the starting lineup from the manager, and here it is. The manager has handed me their starting lineup. And I'm going to click on them in the order that they're batting. So the order that I click on them is going to be the batting order that they put them in. So Tommy LaStella is hitting first. So I'm going to check his box first, and then Brandon Belt is hitting second. Buster Posey's hitting third. Montway Jr. is hitting fourth. It's Bryant hitting fifth. Brandon Crawford. Evan Longoria. Yaz and Kevin Gossman. And then I'll go down and hit done. And now I've got my batting order. Cool. All in the order that they came in. Now, the next thing I'll want to do is they're all listed right now as extra hitters because it doesn't know what position they're playing. So I'm gonna fix that by putting them all at the right place. Brandon Belt is first. This is super exciting for you all to watch, I'm sure, but I'll try to be fast. And while I'm doing this, if anybody knows what button I'm supposed to hit to get it so that you can hear the audio that's coming out of my computer, I know there's a way to do it.
You'll need to reshare. And when you hit reshare, there's a button on the lower left that says share audio.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Because we definitely need to hear Kirk and type.
Exactly. We will want to watch the game too collectively. I actually just found a thing that said share sound, so let's try that.
Former Cub,
Yes.
Tommy LaStella, and then the captain,
Nice.
Brandon Belt. He's going to hit second, followed by Posey, Wade, and then Chris Bryant. Brandon Crawford, that's right. Brandon Crawford's going to hit sixth. Then it's Longoria, a home run yesterday, followed by Yaz, followed by the pitcher, Kevin Gausman, who, by the way, has 9 hits this year.
Yes, he does. And on the mound today for the Chicago Cubs will be Zach Davies, 24-year-old right-hander.
So the Cubs, I don't have their lineup in here, so I'm going to actually create. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually just going to create. I don't know what number Zach Davies was, but I'm actually just going to put him in there. When you play another CSLL team, their names and stuff will all be in here. So this is going to be their pitcher. So I'm just going to put him in there right now.
So Steve,
And that's your StatCast 3D powered by.
Yeah.
so in our Game Changer app, when the two team, the games are already pushed to our events,
Yes.
right? They're on our calendar. When we click on that, we'll be able to do that lineup for both teams.
For both teams. Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
By Google Cloud.
So here's your leadoff hitter, Tommy LaStella, as he's going to lead things off. LaStella, Belt, and Posey against Zach Davies.
So our important button here is this one here, and that was a ball. So we just hit the big baseball in the middle, and it's going to give us all of the potential actions that are going to happen. So that was a ball. So I hit ball. You see the little ball go across, and now up at the top it says the count is 1-0. Pitch 2, ball 2, 2-0. So they've got a count of 2-0. We've got a count of 2-0 up here. You can also see that as this goes, I've got a pitch count right here that's counting as it goes for the pitcher. So there's a foul ball.
LaStella fouls that fastball out of play. You're not going to see a whole lot of difference between the guy that started yesterday and the guy pitching today.
No, you're not. You're going to see a guy that likes to change speeds, uses 2 pitches, that sinker changeup combination. Although Hendricks hasn't walked as many guys as Davies this year, that's been kind of his nemesis, is the free pass.
There's a called strike.
It's Alfonso Marquez calling balls and strikes. Two and two to LaStella. Out of play, spoils a good pitch, a changeup,
Another foul
and it
ball.
stays at 2-2. LaStella yesterday went 0 for 5.
So y'all were just hoping and excited to just get
LaStella's
to
not a
watch
guy that's
baseball
going to
for a
go 0
couple
for
minutes
5 a lot
tonight, right?
because he usually takes
is
a
what
couple
we're-
of walks,
This is what we're doing. Some people are excited. Some people are like, really?
but not yesterday. And a full count, 3-2.
Well, like I mentioned, Davies, 67 walks on the year. That's second most in the major leagues. And for a guy that likes to pitch to contact, induce weak contact, miss barrels, that's not a good formula.
This is lifted into center field for Ortega. And Ortega puts it away.
All right. So now we have ball in play, right? So that ball was hit in play. So here's what we hit, and that's going to give us a bunch of other options. And so that was a fly ball. Batter was out, right? So it didn't end up in a hit or anything else. Batter was out. Fly out, not foul. It was fair. So we'll hit this one. And now it's going to ask us where. And so it's to hit to the center fielder. He moved a little bit this way, so I can move the center fielder to where the ball was hit or caught. And when I let go, puts the ball there, and then I hit done. And that batter's done. And now Brandon Belt's up.
And if he has an 0
All
for
one.
20 streak, he'll bring it back out. And he hit a home run with it on last night.
He did. I mean, I was surprised it's not on there again today. He went 2 for 3, had a couple big hits in that game yesterday.
I mean, in all honesty, anything he does really doesn't surprise you.
Cap wasn't a big fan of the electrical tape. I mean, he's got to do a better job. Like, he was messing with it all game, and they had some fun with it, though.
His 22nd home run of the year yesterday. He's 2 for 6 lifetime against Davies, and he went 2 for 3 yesterday. It was a belt day. He scored 2 runs and he knocked 2 in. Two and two.
Yeah, good changeup there, and that's where Davies wants to miss. We talked about the wind, the flags blowing out. You're looking for a pitch up in the strike zone against Kyle Davies to do your damage with.
How was everybody's day?
Well, so that changeup
Good.
had a lot of
You have a
downward
good day?
movement.
Hey, Trevor.
Hi, Steve. I didn't know if we were mute or not. I'm
Yeah, I
answering
can-
questions. I didn't know if you could hear
And he
me.
comes back with
I
a
can hear you.
fastball.
What's up?
It's-
Nothing. We just had a
Stays
nice
at 2 and
practice up
2.
at Nestor's house.
And you look at the pitch, 86
Oh,
miles
nice.
an
Into
hour.
the
How's
dark.
Brandon Belt late? Well, when you throw a changeup prior to throwing a 86 mile an hour fastball, it looks a little bit harder.
Yeah, and a good changeup, as you said. Drives this one down the right field line, and it's into the corner and a fair ball. And the captain heads into second base with
All
a
right.
double.
So for this one, we got ball in
Hey,
play.
he didn't need the electrical tape to
What do you think?
get on,
Should we
get
give
on
him a
base
line drive
early
on
in
that
this
one?
game.
I mean,
Picked
look,
up right where he
line
left
drive.
off.
The bottom
Yes.
line is
Yeah.
he might have it on somewhere. We just can't
Double.
see it.
And where is it? Where
Takes
where was it?
89,
So right
two-seamer,
fielder,
runs back over the middle
kinda
part of
went
the
into the
plate.
corner
Davies
there.
wants it
Hard to-
in,
can't
trying
bring
the
it
old
too far, but-
comebacker.
And there it puts
Brandon Bell gets
Belt on
barreled
second
to it, and
base.
that's smoke down the right field line, right up against the wall, and an easy double, even with strength of Hayward's arm.
There's an old friend, Matt Duffy, probably asking him, where's the duct tape? Here's Buster Posey. Buster 0 for 4 yesterday with a couple of strikeouts. And he takes the first pitch wide. He's 3 for 8 in 8 at-bats lifetime against Davies. Remember Davies last year with the Padres. So that's where you're going to get your at-bats against Davies as Buster fouls it out of play. Day game
They've
tomorrow,
got
so
15
you would
pitches
expect
on
that it
the
would be
pitch
Kurt
count on the
Casale
TV,
tomorrow.
and we've got 15 pitches on the pitch count on the game. So
Yep, that's the plan. Buster
this
the
should-
first
this
2,
should
and then
match
Casale.
whoever's doing.
They've
the
all been day games
tick
in this
mark
series,
sheet
so
that
it's not typical 2
the
night
pitch
games and a
count
day game where Buster
person
will
is working on.
always take
It
that
should
day
always
game off.
match.
It's rare that a team can get 3 fantastic dinners in Chicago with 3 day games in an off day. Of course, one of them is a getaway day.
Yeah, the off day in Chicago is what you really look forward to. And I'm sure they all enjoyed it.
Posey drives it into center field, hit well. Ortega back at the wall. He leaps and he makes the catch. You thought for a second the basket was going to get it, but instead Ortega got it.
And it will get it from time to time. And we talked about the wind blowing out. You get it up in the air. Buster didn't square it up, but he got it up in the air, so you feel like it had a chance. Hit it well with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone. Ortega does a
Makes
nice
sense.
job
So
of
I
getting
took
back
that
to the
center
ivy.
fielder all the
And then
way
at this point, it's just
basically
a
as
matter
far
if the
as I could
basket's
go,
going to
so I
catch
could
it
see
or if
where it goes.
Ortega's going to make a nice play, which he did.
Sorry, Steve,
reason
can you
that-
See him
pause,
looking for the wall.
hey, Steve, can you pause the game for, or yeah,
Yeah.
when you talk, can you mute the game? Because we can't
Mute the
both
game.
at the
Okay.
same time.
So the reason that's not necessary, but it's helpful to drag the player to where the ball was hit approximately is because when you start to accumulate a few more games, you'll actually get spray charts for players. to be able to see where they're hitting the ball, how far they're hitting the ball, where they tend to hit it, which is pretty cool and can be helpful for coaching and for planning for the other team.
This is much more intuitive than I thought it was going to be, but I thought this was finally my opportunity to learn how to keep track with like slashes and X's and those things my parents used to do at Dodger Stadium, but I guess not.
So Emily's part is going to be the paper portion. And now that we're doing this for half an inning, we probably don't have to do it for too much longer, and I can probably hand it over to Emily. I do want to finish the inning so that you can see what changing the inning looks like. And then I don't have a full lineup for the Reds, so we'll take a look at what it looks like to add players. But this is out number 3, and then you can see here it says middle of the first. Finalizes the inning, and you say accept and switch. And now we have the bottom of the first, Gosman pitching. It's got Davies batting first, but that's not right. What I need to do is I need to go into the opponent. Oh, apparently we have to wait for commercials. Yeah, we're definitely not going to do 2 innings.
Steve, can we show substitutions, even if we did it through the Giants, if you just...
Yep.
I think that's probably a big one.
Yep. So if I'm, the easiest way to do substitutions is to click on the player on the field. So when I click on Evan Longoria, it's going to ask who's replacing Evan Longoria at third base. And then I can select any one of the players. If I'm going to move Yaz to third, I'll just click on Yaz and it puts Yaz at third, and then it's Yaz was in center, so it's going to ask who's in center now. But it will also, obviously, I only have 9 of the Giants in here, but it will have all 11 or 12 of your players. So if you're bringing in somebody from the bench, then that player will be available on this list, and it will allow you to select them for your substitution.
Steve, question in the chat. Can you show what happens when somebody makes a mistake and how to undo that mistake?
Yeah. The undo button. My friend, you can actually undo all the way to the very beginning of the game. So hopefully you don't have to do that, but you can just keep clicking this undo button through the last inning, through the previous inning, until you get to the point where you know it's correct. And then you can move forward. That's hard because you got to remember all the pitches and things like that happened in between. But it does allow you to undo. So let's pause this for a second while we've got their starting lineup up here. But if I did that here, I could actually go back and you can see if I hit, right. See, now it's got Lamont Wade Jr. back up. It's got Brandon Belts up with a 2-0 count. Because if I was like, oh, he didn't actually hit the ball to right field, he hit it to left field, then I could just redo that. That makes sense?
Steve, do you know, is there a way, like without having to use undo, like to go back maybe to like a previous inning and edit? Like, oh, that was actually an error, not a hit. In the box.
I have not found that feature. I don't know. I'd have to look that one up.
Sounds like folks are getting their questions answered by popping them in the chat, but do we want to ask if there are any questions at this point? Got a hand raised from Brittany.
So here I'm fixed. Yeah, Brittany, go ahead.
So we were messing around with this the other day on a scrimmage, and a player left halfway through the game. And so because the lineup automatically starts back up on your next ups, how do you switch? How do you make them not active?
So when if the player who left comes up to bat, so let's say Ortega's up, but Ortega had to go to his Taekwondo class, you would click on him up here and you can say, skip to a different batter.
Okay.
And you can just skip him in the lineup.
Perfect.
I can't remember exactly how I did it, but there was a way I was able to actually remove this kid from the lineup. I don't know if it was by hitting.
Yeah, and you would
it might-
probably do that. My guess would be you would do that here.
Hit the edit, the pencil.
No, that edits his name and stuff.
Oh, you know what? Hit sub out, and then I
it's-
think when you hit sub out, you can do leave empty,
There you go.
and then it just removes them.
Yeah. You got that, Brittany. So that's a more permanent way of doing it rather than just skipping them once.
And
Yes,
then
thank you.
there's
Yeah.
another question, Steve, of adding a player who showed up late.
Yeah, so if you've got a continuous batting order and you've got another player who's shown up, you can go, to whichever team it is, whether it's my team or the opponent, and you can click the plus sign, and they'll be on your bench. So you'll be able to add them from your bench and put them in the lineup wherever you want to. And if it'll add them to the bottom of the lineup, but if you want to move them around, you can just click on the three things there and drag them around and move them to the spot in the lineup that you want them. Does that answer that question?
Yes, like a playlist.
Yeah. So since we didn't get too much action in that top of the first, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do an undo because I'm going to show you a couple other things. So Brandon Belt's running, right? He's on second base. If he steals or he moves to the next base for whatever reason, during the course of the current at bat, the Montway Juniors at bat, I literally just drag Brandon Belt to third, and I can hover it over safe or out, depending on what happened, right? So if he's safe, then it's going to ask me how he got there. So was it a stolen base? Was it defensive indifference, a wild pitch, a pass ball, a fielding error, or other? So we'll give him a stolen base. But let's go back and do if he was out. So let's say, pitch got away from the catcher. He decided to run, but he was actually called out. How did he get out? Caught stealing. It's actually going to show me the field again and the fielders. So what it's wanting to know is who was involved in that play, right? So what happened was the catcher picked it up and he threw it to the third baseman who tagged him out, right? So that's just keeping track of who was involved in the play. And so it says done. And now that inning ended because that was out number 3. That make sense?
I don't know if you were going to show this yet, but can you show what happens if a new inning starts and we're going to sub out pitchers, put a new pitcher in?
Sure. Pretty simple. So let's say this was the 3rd or 4th inning and Kevin Gosman was coming out. He had pitched a bunch of pitches. I can click on his name here, or I can click on it here, and it will give me a sub out relief pitcher. And it will say who's replacing him. And whatever player I select will go into the pitcher slot, and they'll be up here, and it'll say 0. They've thrown 0 pitches so far.
The other thing to keep in mind about that I noticed too is when you replace somebody, if they were at a different position and they weren't on the bench, then it prompts you to replace that player. So like, let's say the relief pitcher was at short. If you pull him to pitch, then it's going to say, okay, now who's playing short? And it'll guide you through replacing the positions that need to be replaced.
Yeah, and that becomes really important to get all the kids out there in their proper positions, because we do have some rules around, number of innings that you can catch and not pitch, and obviously the minimum playtime rules. If you're getting all the players on the field in their correct spots in the Game Changer app, then it's one more place where we can look to verify that players got their minimum amount of playing time at the majors level.
Couple of questions. Actually, and maybe did you answer this already? How do we annotate errors?
Yeah, so let's do a mock here. I don't know if there's an error in the next inning. So we're back to Lamont Wade Jr., who actually flew out to right field, but let's say he hit a ground ball. So ball in play, ground ball. There are a number of different options here for after he's hit the ground ball. Was he out at first? Was it a hit, or a fielder's choice, or an error? So this would be where you'd put an error. So let's say it was an error. He hit the ball to shortstop threw to first, but he threw the ball away, right? So it was a shortstop. I clicked on the shortstop, and I clicked on the first baseman, and then I hit done. Now it's going to ask me who committed the error. And I know it was a bad throw, so I'm going to give the error to the shortstop. And then Wade Jr. was safe at first. Brandon Belt, it automatically moved Brandon Belt to third. Let's say he didn't actually move to third, but he stayed at second because, he was a good base runner and the ground ball was hitting in front of him, so he should stay. I'm going to put him back at second where he's safe. And I'm going to say he did not advance. So he just didn't advance on that play. And so then it's got the next batter up. This is fun. What other scenarios should we do?
How does this handle batting orders longer than 9 players? Do you have to select a position for each player?
Yeah, so good question. If let's just create Emily, who was a bench player for the Giants last year?
I am not even able to think of one right now, which is embarrassing. Yeah, put me in. I'll play center field. No, wait, I'm on the bench.
So I've put Emily in as a 10th batter, and it's just listed as an EH, which stands for extra hitter. So I can do that all the way down to like as many as you've got on the roster. And we don't have any rosters bigger than 12, but it'll definitely go down to 12. And if they're not in the lineup at the moment, they'll just be listed as an EH. Or if they're not on the field at the moment, they'll be listed.
Not to be confused with my initials there. That's not why it's.
No, that's true. That's. What else you want to feed me from the chat?
I think we've gone through the chat.
Did we do it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Chris Bryant, we're just going to pretend he hit a home run because that's fun. Center field, boom, 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 boom. And now we've got a score of 3-0. So this is where we can see, this is where we see the score. All right. Should we give it over to Emily for the second portion? Yeah.
Sure. Any other questions about the app? Looks like
Trevor, go
Trevor's
ahead.
got his hand raised.
Trevor, you got your hand raised and you are muted.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, hi. Technical question I might have missed at the beginning. Are we using our own iPads, for instance? If I'm doing Game Changer, am I doing my iPad, or is there a laptop in the score shed?
Yeah, good question. We're going to use our own devices. There are no league devices available.
Okay.
For this. Yeah.
Is there Wi-Fi up there?
We're working on Wi-Fi. Oh, up where? Up at Mountain?
No, just at the Majors field. Because my iPad, how am I going to use my iPad with, do I need to be access to Game Changer? I need Wi-Fi, right?
Yes, unless you had a cellular service on your iPad. Emily, is there a way to, without having, we discussed the idea that, for example, folks that are up at Mountain School may not have reliable Wi-Fi, and there's a way to upload or initiate the game
Yeah.
before you
Mhm.
when you're in Wi-Fi, and then when you get back into Wi-Fi, you can score keep, and then it'll keep the results and then upload or sync once you're back into Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Emily, you want to add something to that?
I believe it was Hannah who mentioned last night that that's possible. I haven't tested it, but I do think, and if you stand in the Mountain School parking lot, you can get Wi-Fi. So like you can go up there, connect to their guest Wi-Fi, and then start the game, and then you can walk down on the field, and it will store all of your scoring data in your app, and then as soon as you're connected to Wi-Fi again, it will upload everything. So the disadvantage, the only thing is that people who want to watch it, like Steve mentioned earlier, who can't be at the game, they won't be able to get the live updates. But other than that, like later, it'll still have all the important information, the pitch count and the plays and everything, the box score.
Okay. Thank you. I know Steve was using his phone as a base coach last year. You were able to do it on your phone, Steve. So how was that?
Yeah.
I mean, the big enough screen able to?
Oh yeah. I've only ever done this on the phone, and it's fine. This screen that's showing that I was showing is my phone screen.
Oh, okay.
And
Then maybe
that's-
I'll just try that.
Yeah, and it's perfectly ezy. Yeah.
And we
Cool.
are working on the Wi-Fi. We have a satellite connection, and we're working on it. So once we do have Wi-Fi, we'll let people know.
Great.
At the CSLL complex.
I'll just go for my phone for starters. Thank you.
I actually did both. I did one of each, and I like the phone better. I felt like there was too much going on the iPad myself.
Cool.
All right, so Joy, I'm going to go ahead and screen share. Do I have access to do that?
I think you do.
All right. So I'm on 2 devices here. I haven't done this since distance learning last year when I was teaching online, but there we go. All right. So for those of you who haven't kept score on paper, I'm going to walk through basically the system that you have to use is that there's a number system for each position is assigned a different number. And then there's basically like abbreviations and codes that you use for every type of play that happens. So, and I'm going to give you guys the link to this slideshow right now in the chat. And then if you want to open it on your device or just have it later, you can refer to it later. So this is what a score card looks like, more or less. They're a little bit different, I think, in different books. What you want to do before the game, just like Steve did with Game Changer, is fill in the lineup. So you're going to use, like, when you have it's a spiral bound book, right? So on one side you'll have the home team, and on the other side you'll have the visiting team. And I'm going to show you in a couple minutes, like an actual scorecard, and we're going to fill it in a little bit together. And then, so you write the lineup on the left side. You'll notice that there's like some extra lines. So if you have to sub people out or move them around, you'll do that. The pictures go down at the bottom of the page. So this is important. You don't have to worry about all of these boxes. Like, you don't need to keep track of their runs, their earned runs, their walks, if you want to do that data, you're welcome to, but really just what we need to make sure you have is the pitch count for each pitcher that comes into the game. So the visiting team is going to be using the paper traditional scorebook during the games, at least for now, until the Game Changer really gets rolling and everybody's doing it. And then we might drop that that requirement, but right now we're going to have the home team doing the game changer, and we're going to have the visiting team doing paper as well as pitch count. So you can keep track of pitch count within the scorecard. What I would recommend is to try to find an extra person on the if you're the visiting team, an extra parent who's willing to just count the pitches. And like they can get each coach has a little metal clicker, and you can just click it every time a pitch is thrown, just for the official pitch count. So the way that the scoring is done is vertically. So you have innings are here 1 through 9 or 10. And so I'll show you how I keep score and how I know how to move from inning to inning. And here are the position numbers. So the pitcher is number 1, catcher's 2. You'll just have to memorize these probably, or write them down somewhere. Once you do it a few times, you'll remember it pretty easily. So it goes 3.
It's also at the bottom of the page of the scorebooks that we use.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So it goes 3, 4, and then it goes over to 5 for third base and comes back to shortstop for number 6, and then jumps out to left field and goes 7, 8, 9. So those numbers are going to be used to record the defensive plays when an out is recorded. The other things that you'll need to learn are the abbreviations. So on the left column is what I could think of all the possible outs and scenarios that would come up. And again, we're going to do a few to practice, but a forward K is a strikeout swinging, backwards K is a strikeout looking. When there's a ground out, you write the number of the person who got the ball and then a little dash line, and then you write the number of the person who received the ball. So if it's thrown from third base to first base, it would look like 5-3. And then for flyouts, what I do is I write P if it's a pop-up, and then the number of the person who caught it. So it's like an infield pop-up. F would be a fly out to outfield and the number of the player who caught it, and then an L would be a line out. You can just use F, like you don't have to differentiate and be as specific as I am. You can just do F and the number. When batters reach base, the codes are there. You would write BB for a walk, base and balls, then single, double, triple, home run. Fielder's choice is FC. An error would be E, and then the position of the person who made the error. So if it's a shortstop error, it'd be E6, and then hit by pitch. And then as we score, so you write down, like if they got a double, you would write 2B, at least that's what I write. And then you would draw, there's a little diamond on the page, and you would draw him to second base. And as the runner moves, you go around and you keep moving him. And then if he gets all the way to home and scores a run, you fill in the diamond, and we'll do that together. And then some other plays, there's stolen base and caught stealing. Let me first open the app.
I think Dana is answering Lee's question. What is the splash page?
Got it.
Right.
Okay, so I did put a video in there later. So if you forget everything that I showed you, you can bookmark that slideshow. So here we go. Okay, so this is what a scorecard looks like. So I went ahead and put in the same lineup that we were just looking at for the Giants. And so you write the players. So each player has their own row here, right? And you write their position number and their jersey number. The jersey number is helpful when especially if you're scoring for a visiting team that you don't know, or like an opposing team that you don't know. If you get the lineup from the manager, try to get the numbers, because then if kids switch out positions, or just to make sure that you know that the right kid is batting, you can correspond it to their jersey number. I just put in first names usually, or first name, last initial for when I'm scoring the Little League games. So, okay, what did Listella do in the game? I forget. Did he fly out?
He flew out to center.
Okay. So I don't know what the pitch count was, but I will pretend. So these boxes up
7.
here are the pitch count boxes. So every time a pitch is thrown, these boxes on top are for balls. So if a ball is thrown,
Ball 1, ball 2, foul, strike, foul.
and strikes are down here. It's helpful to keep track of that so that, again, at the end, we have an accurate pitch count. Although if you have, I mean, this is sort of like hopefully a backup if you have somebody just count pitches, right? And then, so LaStella flew out to center field. So I would write F, and he's number 8, center fielder's number 8. So I usually write it right there in the box. And then if there's an out made, I like to put a 1 with a circle around it so that I know he made the first out. And then the second person, anytime I need to go back and see who made the outs, I have 1, 2, and 3 there. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast or?
Sorry, yeah, so the foul ball, so it was 2 strikes and where do you record the foul?
So I would, if it was the second strike, I would still just record it here. And then if he fouled off like 2 more pitches, I would just put like a little dot each time another foul happened, right? Just to show that it's another pitch. It obviously doesn't add another strike to the count, but that was Steve's idea. So LaStella's out. Belt came up, he hit a double, right?
Yep.
So let's say it was strike 1, ball 2, and then he hit the double. What I would write is 2B for a double here. And I'm going to draw a line for Brandon Belt to second base to show that he got to second. What I'll do after the fact, so when Posey comes up, we're going to pretend he got a hit. So you leave Brandon Belt there, but you'll extend that line if he advances on another batter's hit or a wild pitch or something like that. Okay. So Posey comes up. We'll say, go ahead. Did I hear a question? So we'll say he singles. Okay. So I'm keeping track of the pitch count. I'm not going to do that for every demo at bat here. So I'm going to draw Posey to first, and Belt didn't score because he froze because it was a line drive. So he only got to third base. Next is Lamont Wade, and we'll say Wade struck out looking. So backwards K. Actually, I usually write it inside the box. So backwards K, and then out number 2. And then we'll say Bryant came up and hit a home run. So what happens then is you draw, he goes all the way to home. And when they score, you shade in the box. So it's an easy way when you're looking at the whole scorecard to see how many runs have been scored. I also need to go back and plate Belt and Posey. So I'm going to draw them around and fill that in. Okay. Any questions about that?
What about the RBI in that case?
Good question. So this score sheet doesn't have an RBI spot. Does the one we use for Little
Yeah,
League?
it does.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it's got a little thing at the
Probably like over here. There's probably like a little thing that says RBI.
Yeah, there's nothing that specifically says RBI. I always put it in the lower left corner. Just I'll like for Brian, I'll put a little 3 in the lower left corner, and then like a little box around it or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do, but everybody, yeah, that's how I do it.
That works.
Everybody's got their own little style.
Thanks, Joy. So when an inning ends, so let's say Crawford comes up and he hits a ground ball. He hits it to second base. So second baseman's number 4. So I would do 4 dash, he threw it to the first baseman, 4-3. And that's our third out. And then what I usually do is I put an X in the box underneath the person who made the last out, so that I remember when I come back to this, when after the Cubs bat and the Giants come back up, I remember that Longoria is next. And when Longoria bats, I'll be scoring starting in this box here, because this is inning 2, but it's Longoria's little spot on the diagram. And so what you do then is you score Longoria and Yaz and Gossman. So I can do that just really quickly. Like, let's say E4, okay, and then we've got a strikeout. Gossman hits a fly ball. When it comes back around to the top of the lineup, you go to the top of the page and you stay in the second column because we're still in inning 2. So you stay here. Listella goes next. He gets walked. So BB. Draw him to first and then go back and make sure you advance Longoria to second. And then it kind of just keeps going, right? So Belt makes an out. Struck out. And then I would put the X here for Posey. And then inning number 3, I will start in this box here. Any questions about this? I'll talk about the pitching stats and stuff in a second. And at the end of the inning, what you do to compile the runs. But any questions?
So there was a question that Steve answered that's good to kind of say to everybody. Is this level of detail required for AA? And Steve's answer was no, it's not required for AA, but it's a great time to practice.
Yeah, because you are going to potentially be doing this in AAA, right? So.
But AA requires scorekeepers and pitch counters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the pitch count is the most important, but we kept scoring AA last year. And everybody just kind of does it at their own comfort level. I mean, the most important thing, I think, besides keeping track of the pitches is just filling in the little diamonds when people score so that you can kind of keep track of the score. I don't know, anything else, Steve, that you think should
yeah, I think just knowing, I mean, it's very helpful for knowing who's batted, how many times each player's batted, how many runs are scored each inning. Those are the really important things, right?
So at the end of an inning, you have this section down at the bottom of your scorebook right here. It might look a little different on ours, but it's still underneath the inning, and you have runs, hits, errors, and left on base. It's up to you if you want to fill all of that in. I would say at least fill in the runs, just so that you have kind of a running total. So like they scored 3 runs. If you want to count up how many hits, how many errors, and then how many people were left on base, you can do that. But I'd say just keeping the runs here, right? So that you can kind of get a visual across how many runs are scoring each inning. And then for pitchers, so I don't know, Steve, do you think it's best to fill in, do you keep all the team on one page or do you do the opposite pitchers on the opposite pages?
This would be the Giants pitcher on this page.
That's what I thought too. Okay, so we have Gossman listed here. And like I said before, you don't have to worry about all of this, most of this stuff, right? Win, loss, save, innings pitched. You could do innings pitched if you wanted, hits, runs. But what I keep track of, right, is how many. So at the end of the inning, let's say that pitcher had 34 pitches, I'll put that there. If that child comes back out again, I'll use the next column. Say he does 14 pitches in the next inning. I'll just keep track of it that way. And then I'll total it up here and put a circle around it. And that's how I keep track of how many pitches that kid threw. And then you would just put the next pitcher underneath and kind of do the same thing.
Okay, a couple questions in the chat. What happens if you go through the whole lineup in one inning and continues in the same inning?
That's a good question. So they bat around, and let's say they bat around in the second inning, and then Longoria gets a second at bat, right? So I've filled in all of this. What I usually do is I just go up to the top and I change this to 2. And then you kind of have to start again, right? So then Longoria's next at bat is going to be right here, and you just keep going. Then you have to change that to 3, to 4, to 5, etc. Does that answer your question?
And then kind of a series of questions about, are we keeping scores and stats for our team? And again, clarifying the responsibilities of home team versus visiting team, app versus paper, and are we doing it for both?
So keeping score and stats, when you're keeping score if you're the home team and you're the game changer, because you're the home team, you're the game changer person for the day, and you're playing another Cap-Soquel team, those scores and stats will exist for both teams because we're all connected within the game changer system. So by doing the scorekeeping for your game, you're also thereby keeping the stats for the other team for that game. Hopefully that makes sense.
What happens if I score it, even if like I'm the visiting team and I just feel like doing it on Game Changer? Will it just only use the stats from the home team, or will, like, if
I don't know.
the same game is scored by 2 people, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. And I don't know how, I think that's something we have to ask Game Changer, or we just have to test and see what happens. Because like if I'm playing your team and you score something a hit and I score something an error, I don't know what that does on the back end.
And then on the other side of it too, is it possible for, if I'm playing Eric's team and I'm keeping score, can Eric's parents see the live updates with me scorekeeping? Do we know that yet?
I don't know yet.
I have to test that out. Okay.
I don't know yet. Last year when I did this, I would think I was the only one doing it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know those answers yet. It'd be fun to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Skylar, I see your question. You have like, when I don't have a book in front of me, but when you have the score book, it's spiral bound. And so you just open it to the next blank pages and you use, one side is the home team and one side is the visiting team. So you just flip it back and forth.
And Emily, when you're feeling done, no rush, but when you're feeling done, I have one other thing that I wanted to show on Game Changer that I didn't do for the end of the game.
That's everything, unless anybody has any other questions.
I think it's just also just important to note that a lot of the leagues are switching to Game Changer. But since like Steve and Emily have said, we're trying it out. And so that's part of the reason it's a requirement for Little League that we keep the records, and that we have a paper record do we have to keep a paper record in the score sheds, I think. But as we're trying things out, we need to hear from the hive about what's working and what is not working, or tricks and tips, and to share with everybody. So it'd be good to figure out who can be the curator of all things case scenario that we experience as we're do we need Wi-Fi? Do we not need Wi-Fi? Can 2 people score the same game at the same time? on the app. We'd love to hear from people throughout the season.
Also, Brittany, I was going to mention too, I'm pretty sure that like, let's say I have to leave the game early and I'm scoring or my battery dies, another staff member can jump in and resume scoring on their device.
Do you leave the notebook there and or take a picture and email it? I think Eric, was that what Eric was mentioning in the beginning about having managers sign at the?
I think those pages are going to be in a binder. And I think the binder lives in the shed and also the scorebooks live in the shed. So like if I play a game on Tuesday night and I keep scoring the paper book, I put it back in the shed. There's like a little file cabinet kind of box. And then the next team the next day that's in the same, there's one book for each division. So all the AAA games will go in one book. All the AA games will go in a separate book and they're labeled.
Okay, so the one last thing I wanted to show in Game Changer was how to end the game, which we didn't do. So we only scored the one inning, but if we go up in Game Changer to the 3-dot menu here, this is gives us some additional options. So there is a manual override, so we can manually override the score. I don't know that we can manually override like individual plays, but you can definitely have like, I've got the score wrong and I have no idea why. I can change that. If I did the first half inning with the wrong team batting, I can do swap home and away teams, but that will actually reset the games. You'll have to start over. I've never had to do that, thankfully. If in AA, AAA, you hit the maximum number of runs for the inning, but we haven't got to 3 outs yet, you would come here and do end half inning. So it would just end the inning and then it would switch over as if it were the 3rd out. The next team would bat. So that's really important because you're gonna use that. You can exit the game if you want to do something different on your phone, and you can come back to it later. This is the best way to do it. It's like hitting pause on your CD player. And then when the game's over, you can hit game over. And so that's going to give you some options here. Who was the winning pitcher, who was the losing pitcher, was there a save? You can confer with the scorekeeper who did the paper scorebook to make sure you have the right things on here. And then you hit save and finalize game, and it saves and finalizes the game and says the Giants won 3-0. You can look at the box score and you can see how everybody did. So you can see Chris Bryant's 3-run homer here. Here's his home run. Here's Kevin Gosman's 1 inning. And the thing that Emily was just doing, showing you the scorebook, Game Changer actually creates one of those in a PDF for you, which is pretty cool. So you can download this. Look, it looks just like, I don't know how to zoom in right now. If you're on your phone, you could do the zoom with the 2 fingers and just pinch in and out. But it creates the exact same scorebook that Emily was just doing in Game Changer, and then you can share the PDF. You can send it to yourself or whatever. So that's pretty cool.
That might be a good way too for people who don't have much experience with the paper scorekeeping. Like if you use the Game Changer, you can review what it looks like after.
Absolutely. And there it is. And then you can always go back to it later.
There's also one other
Zoom scoring here. Go ahead.
There's one other feature that another parent showed me when I was scorekeeping on Game Changer. They were looking at it on their phone, and there's like an audio feed with like a robot voice, but it'll tell you like the plays that are going on. So like if you're working or you're doing something, you want to be like looking at the screen, but like your kid's playing in a game and you can't be there, you can just set it and it'll be like, single, center field, or.
Yep.
I'll just put a plug in that last year at this time I had surgery, so I couldn't go to the games, but I would watch, I could see it on the live cam, and Steve was, and I could see everything that was happening. Who was, I couldn't necessarily distinguish on the camera which kid was at bat or who was on which base. And so I was able to enjoy a whole month in bed of watching watching our games and knowing what the heck was going on the field. So it's really cool for people who can't be there. And then Steve would also share at the end. There's like a sports recap, like a ESPN sports recap that tells what happened at the game. Game Changer auto generates a story.
Oh yeah,
about
I don't see that.
the game.
I don't see that on here. I wonder if that's because it was only one inning, or maybe they stopped doing that.
Or maybe because you scored it. I wonder if the other parents would see it.
Yeah, it's something that gets pushed out in the app, but all of this is going to require just a little tinkering around and getting used to. So tinker around, watch some baseball footage and play around, come up with some case scenarios, and we're lucky to have two really awesome expert scorekeepers in our midst. So I'm sure Emily and Steve are happy to field questions.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
if you see me out there, like you and you need help, just let me know. I'm happy to jump in and help you.
Okay. Any other questions?
And again, if you need to be set up as a staff member, feel free to shoot me an email at the player agent at cslbaseball.com, and I can help you there.
Question. So does Little League never play left center and right center?
So you can, I think I know what you're asking, Skylar. If you only have 8 players for the game and you have to have 2 outfielders, is that what you're asking about? I think in that case, Game Changer, you just have to put probably left field and center field and leave right field blank.
When I was in Little League, especially younger kids who don't necessarily get to the ball in time so you would have 11 players on the field because you would have 2 extra.
Oh, I see.
Or I guess 10 players, you would have 2 extra outfielders just so people can play. And this is our first year. Hey, stop.
Gotcha.
This is our first year, so I haven't experienced how they do that. That's all.
Yeah, no, double A on up, we just do 3 outfielders, 9 players on the field.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Too bad we don't have spring training games we can practice on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope it was helpful.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks for hosting us, Joy.
Yeah.
See you Saturday.
Yes. Yay. Almost there. Okay. Bye.